Let's try and understand the implications with Mr. Himanshu Baid. He's the MD at Medicure as well. Himanshu, hi, good morning. Thank you so much for making time and speaking with us this morning. The Cabinet has approved the National Medical Device Policy. Could you talk to us about what could be the key highlights, what are the synergies, and what kind of impact do you envisage for Medicure?
Good morning. I think this is a big boost for manufacturing in the medtech industry. Medtech industry was always part of the drugs and pharma industry. If you look at the regulations and, if you look at the policies, they were all pretty much similar to pharma industry. And now I think Department of Pharma has carved out a new policy for medtech sector. It was long overdue. We had a first draft policy in 2015. And since then, I think it went to a lot of iterations, and also a new Medical Device Act was also envisaged in between. So I think regulatory harmonization is the big key here, takeaway, where states and center will be in a harmonized way looking at the regulations. India will also be aligned with GSTF regulations, which is like US FDA, European regulations, Japanese regulations. A lot of alignment will happen there. And I think if we see a boost in manufacturing, I think definitely there will be a boost in exports. There's also a new Medical Device Export Promotion Council, which is planned. So all in all, I think it's pretty good for the industry.
So since you're talking about this is quite good for exports as well, what's your own exposure, if at all, to exports at this point of time, and what's the strategy of tapping into that opportunity?
See, our exposure is around close to 65% of our total revenue. And I think with this policy, I think we'll see the fine print. We haven't seen the policy as yet. We've only seen some highlights. Once we see the fine print, I think with the Export Promotion Council, being established for medical devices separately, I think specifically we can go to regulated markets, highly regulated markets, and with some government support, we'll be able to actually increase our exports in those markets.
Okay, and just Himanshu, before we let you go, I understand that you had earlier laid out a guidance of growth of almost 20% plus in FY24. Can you talk to us about whether you're on track with respect to that growth? Is it possible over the next couple of years to grow at 20% plus CAGR? And what about margins?
See, I think I'll still stick to the FY24 guidance, and we are pretty hopeful that we should grow over 20% because we see good headwinds in India, tailwind in India, and also, tailwinds in Europe and US markets. So we're pretty hopeful about that. And I think margins should slightly improve because the raw material prices have cooled down. Also, the supply chain has eased off. So I think this should actually help us to improve our margins in coming quarters.
So given that you've also forayed into the dialysis category under the PLI scheme, can you just give us a sense as to how things are progressing on that front?
See, it's been a little slow start, not as we anticipated, though last year we grew around 40% in this segment. This year also we plan to grow over 40%. We have some headwinds coming from Chinese importers where they are pushing low quality products in India, and maybe at also at very cheap prices. But I think as the regulation and the policy gets strengthened, I think we would see maybe a clamp down in that area, and it'll give a boost to local manufacturing.
All right. Thank you for joining in and giving us a sense as to what exactly the Cabinet nod for that national device policy means for the space and for your company as a whole.